We can go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Danielle Kirkby, and I am a Partner Success Manager here at ServiceRocket, based in Wilmington, North Carolina. Today, we are going to cover the modern incident management for IT and Opsgenie. Before we dive into the material, I want to share a little bit more information about us in case you're new to ServiceRocket. For over 20 years, ServiceRocket has been a leading provider of tech-enabled services, helping fast-growing companies in the acceleration of their growth. Our purpose is to be the single most reliable partner in the acceleration of your growth. You can see here in this map, we have a global footprint and have offices and Rocketeers across the world. We are a Platinum Solution Partner and Platinum Marketplace Partner of Atlassian and can offer assistance with all of your needs, from software adoption to licensing to platform expansion. You have a partner in ServiceRocket. As mentioned, my name is Danielle, but leading us in today's webinar, we are joined by the amazing Taiwo Akindele, who is a Senior Technology Consultant here at ServiceRocket and based in our London office. Taiwo, would you like to take it over?
Thanks, Danielle. Hello, everyone. My name is Taiwo. I'm a technology consultant here at ServiceRocket, based out of our London office, and it's my pleasure to be discussing today's topic with you. We're going to be looking at modern incident management for IT and Opsgenie. And I'll just go over the agenda real quick. We're going to start with a background on how IT has evolved and some of the common challenges in the modern IT landscape. We're going to have some insights into the increasing likelihood of downtime and the costs associated with that. We'll take a look into the evolution of incident management and how this has had to change over time. And then we'll look at 6 steps to implementing modern incident management, followed by a look into one of the best incident management platform out there, Opsgenie, and the features that help reduce your operational downtime. A discussion of some real-world examples will follow and how an incident management platform like Opsgenie can help. We'll wrap up as usual with a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions at all while I'm going through this presentation, feel free to put them into the Q&A box or the chat, and we can make the session more interactive. Daniel will help us moderate the Q&A, and will be able to interrupt me to take a look at questions. Let's dive into it. So the current IT landscape is more distributed than ever, right? It's more diverse, flexible than it has ever been, really. And with a workforce and customer base that are highly mobile, they are 24/7 engaged, they are multitasking. Because of this, the most successful companies are those capable of efficiently handling millions of compute transactions without experiencing a slowdown. They must be able to operate according to customer convenience as well, whatever that is. They must be able to deliver new experiences at a very accelerated pace. In short, IT must go faster and be even more reliable than ever before. Obviously, this poses some new challenges for companies with traditional operating models. Companies with traditional structures and alerting tools will struggle to adapt with this new reality. So it probably becomes obvious that outdated practices will cause delayed responses, poor business outcomes, which ultimately will result in reduced customer loyalty and satisfaction, which isn't good for business. In today's world, striving for a superior customer experience should be the goal, whatever the business is. And serving as the primary measure of success has to be, customer experience. Incident resolution efficiency plays a huge role in that, as we'll see as we go on. Next slide, please. So what is the cost of downtime? We just mentioned that incident resolution efficiency has become an essential priority for thriving businesses, right? So what happens when incidents are not dealt with quickly and efficiently? Rapid advancement of computing technology over the past 40 years has led to a situation where many companies operate a mixture of diverse applications and systems. You have self-hosted applications in private data centers with high level of control, but you also have, cloud-based applications that are managed by third-party providers. This variety often results in a fragmented approach to logging, to monitoring, and alerting, with enterprises using multiple tools even to track numerous application events and alerts on a daily basis. Without a proper incident management strategy in place, the volume of events will very easily become overwhelming. Many IT operations departments resort to funneling alerts into email boxes, which just makes the problem worse because you need somebody to sit on these inboxes 24/7. Often you need a senior staff member to monitor this inboxes because they have the skills you need to identify or to escalate critical messages, right? But relying solely on email monitoring is not scalable. Also, staff members need to rest. They need to be able to take vacations. They need to be able to be, absent sometimes on short notice due to illness or other emergency. It's also important to understand that just monitoring email boxes for, alerts does very little to effectively address and resolve downtime issues. So when there is an outage, what is the cost? Well, very obvious is lost revenue. But downtime also has significant financial implications beyond that. In addition to the direct impact on revenue, there are operational costs associated with resolving the outage. This involves IT and other parts of the business. But beyond that, there's a resulting damage to reputation that can lead to a decline in customers, further affecting the company's financial standing. There's sometimes also the risk of incurring compliance and regulatory penalties, depending on the kind of business that you need to keep up, right? And all of this adds to the overall cost of downtime. You may ask, okay, so what exactly are the numbers? Well, according to Gartner, the average enterprise faces a cost of around 5,600 per minute of unplanned downtime in their primary computing environment. This cost can vary, estimating from $140,000 to $540,000 per hour, depending on the severity of the outage. You can see in the graphic on the screen from a study by IHS that downtime costs North American organizations $700 billion annually. The majority of the cost, about 78% of it, in fact, is attributed to lost employee productivity. Lost revenue accounts for 17% or 119 billion. The remaining 5% or 35 billion is actually the cost to resolve the downtime issues. The financial impact of IT incidents, causing outages and downtime really illustrates the importance of properly identifying, diagnosing, and resolving these issues, which is, why we are talking about incident management today. Next slide, please. So you may say, well, we have a ITSM team, we have an IT team who handles incidents for us. We have a service management setup where we can report incidents and, have them resolved. And the question is, does ITSM solve all the problems we've iterated so far with the current landscape of IT and the complexity of what organizations need to keep running. Well, in the past, operations teams have relied on an ITIL or ITSM framework to enhance customer service in managing their production environments. Enterprises typically introduce an IT service desk as a central point of communication. While the service desk helps with communication, it doesn't effectively address the root cause of downtime, though, does it? It doesn't provide guidance on incident communication either. This basically adds pressure to the already overwhelmed staff, because instead of spending all that energy dealing with the outage, they are spending it handling service inquiries, like why is this service down? What's going on here? I'm having this error, but everybody's having the same issue, and they're just flooded and inundated. Also, reliance on email alerts and multiple staff monitoring a single mailbox just leads to critical alerts being missed or overlooked. Also, the success metrics for a service desk are different. This focus on core related factors. They don't really measure the effectiveness of IT operations if you think about it. Just because the IT monitoring KPIs and customer satisfaction KPIs may not always align. And yet customer satisfaction is a key priority. Next slide, please, Daniel. The rapid advancement of computing tech over the past 40 years has led to a situation where many companies operate a mix of diverse applications and systems, as we spoke about. Everything we've been talking about is about keeping services up and running. It's about the complexities of modern IT infrastructure, and all the overlapping layers. What it takes to keep things running is being able to have a way to orchestrate all the different sources of alerts, all the different systems, monitoring tools that you have to keep track of your individual services. But having everything orchestrated into one platform that also facilitates collaboration, that also integrates with your processes to resolve the issues is, at the crux of what incident management is about. In the next few slides, we'll look at what are the 6 steps that we typically take to implement a robust modern incident management system. But just before that, let's take a step to look at how IT operations and modern incident management has evolved from traditional ways to what is actually needed to keep systems up and running in the modern scenarios. In the past, operation teams were primarily responsible for responding to IT incidents. This will typically be tiered team structures, mostly to minimize costs and to maintain SLAs. You would have a level 1, level 2, level 3 setup, which is still familiar to many of us today. We still have this kind of service level tiers in operations. This may look like it's more cost effective because you can have a lot of level 1 responders helping you to meet that initial response SLA. These are typically less experienced, low skill entry level employees And then if they cannot handle the initial request for support, they would escalate to level 2, which will be typically more experienced. And then this will keep, you escalate from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. Well, with the rise of always-on services and the complexity, the interdependencies between systems, we just need more faster responses. We've talked about, IT needing to go faster just because of the current landscape. So, and also we've looked at how, the effect of an outage can very quickly damage a company's reputation. In the current age of social media, every second that you're out and, information is out there that the system is down can be damaging to a company's reputation. But at the same time, budgets are limited. With limited budgets, homegrown ITSM attempts easily will get overwhelmed by large volume of alert data generated by IT systems. As a result, organizations have had to change their response team structures. They've had to change the tools that they use to handle incidents in order to prioritize timeliness rather than cost effectiveness. Now, organizations are investing more in early detection capabilities, in effective redundancy, and also in technical training and hiring to provide the right level of expertise to immediately get to the root of a potential incident and to reduce the impact of downtime or the occurrence of downtime if possible, which is the ultimate goal. Lastly, also, we've seen that automation and artificial intelligence is being leveraged more and more by IT operations teams to improve productivity and shift from that reactive traditional process of responding to incidents to a more proactive process, which is still cost effective at the same time. Let's look at the next slide, Daniel. Let's look at the 6 steps that are essential to building a robust modern incident management, which will be able to address these business realities we've described. And these 6 steps also are key in helping to reduce the likelihood of alert fatigue, as well as improve the average time to incident resolution. Let's start with the first step. This is identifying the critical systems you have and consolidating alerts. What we are trying to do here mostly is to avoid alert fatigue. And for those who don't know, alert fatigue occurs when an overwhelming number of alerts desensitize people who are responsible for responding to them. It's like the saying of the boy who cries wolf, if you're familiar with that children's story. When you have repeated, redundant, often meaningless, sometimes unactionable alerts coming over and over, what it basically causes is that it trains your staff or workers to assume that most alerts are false alarms anyway, and then they don't act accordingly when something critical comes up, just because there's a lot of noise. So this is about taking care of the noise. What this alert fatigue syndrome causes is delayed responses, ignored alerts, missed alerts. Particularly in DevOps and IT, this can lead to more incidents. Major consequences such as what we've talked about: lost revenue, increased costs, and damage to brand reputation. To address this, it is important to prioritize focusing on the most critical systems in your alert management. For example, studies have shown that over 60% of alerts in security systems are redundant. In another area, which is performance monitoring, the typical DevOps professional uses at least 5 different tools to get to the bottom of performance issues. You have like something monitoring in some environments, for example, you have some profiling system that is monitoring back-end response times. You may have some other thing monitoring access logs, and maybe also looking at request times. There are different layers, for example, in systems where data points are coming in to monitor the performance. This means multiple alert locations coming in different styles, different types. It also means a lot of duplicate effort for engineers or those who are responsible for keeping the applications up and running. Imagine 5 systems with a similar alert. You probably increase your workload by nearly 500%. Keeping tab on all of those. So instead of trying to capture every possible performance metric and trying to individually monitor all of it at once, consolidating these alerts and reducing reminders where possible can help keep the alert load more manageable. This leads to better attention from workers, is what we're saying. Yeah, there's no easy fix to alert fatigue and the challenges that come with it. Because of this, it is key to regularly review whatever processes you have for monitoring alerts, and to ensure that you're striking the right balance, basically. To do this, you need to ask basically 2 questions. Are we missing alerts? And look at why that is happening. Another question to ask is, are we normalizing most alerts? That's probably an indication that you're probably looking at too many alerts that are unnecessary. These are things that you need to revisit regularly as well, as things change. Let's look at another step. In step 2, we want to ensure that we have integrated scheduling capabilities. It is crucial that after alerts have been identified and handled, that we actually have sufficient experts available to take action. So we've looked at reducing the noise, but we also need to make sure that when there is something to be looked at, there's people available to look at it. This is why it is critical for every modern incident management platform to have scheduling capabilities built in. It is important to ensure that the scheduling software is also is flexible enough to support multiple scheduling models, that matches how your organization chooses to operate. To do this, you want to create an on-call schedule that works for your teams, that ensures the right person is available, whether it's day or night, to quickly respond to incidents and outages to reduce downtime. This obviously means not overburdening any single person or team, but providing backup support as well where that's needed. This is also something you need to revisit and look at on a regular basis. What are the benefits of an effective on-call schedule? Well, happier, well-rested employees, better employee retention and satisfaction, better customer service ultimately, better team culture, reduced burnout, better work-life balance, essentially. To build an effective on-call schedule, you need to talk to the teams. You need to learn how your team operates and how they want to work even. As an example, you may have some people who, are night owls, who just prefer to stay up late and are happy to cover a night shift. For such people, you may want to avoid scheduling them to a morning shift, for example. And but basically, the point is to communicate with your team and find out what works, how you can have a schedule that works for everybody and that is healthy. In some cases, it is advisable. Some people may say that it's advisable to follow to apply a follow the sun model for scheduling, where you have teams in different locations and everybody is covering. If you for your international organization, for example, and if you have teams spread across multiple time zones, you may want to follow the sun such that everybody's able to keep in their own working hours and have better sleep, if that's what healthy means for your team. A tool like Opsgenie, it creates endless possibilities for scheduling, as we'll see, a little bit more in a later slide. It can help to create, manage, track on-call responsibilities, and basically keep everyone organized and on the same page. Let's look at automation next. Automation can, be the make or break factor when it comes to operational efficiency and productivity. You want to try to automate as much as possible. Every aspect of your incident management that could be automated, you should automate it. This goes all the way from routing alerts to the right channels. This even goes, into deduplicating notifications. We talked about redundant duplicate notifications. You probably want to apply automation to take care of this. Your message workflows, even things like, spinning up a conference bridge for a conference call to brainstorm and troubleshoot during an incident. These are all things that can be automated and can save time from staff, that, precious time that could be spent in resolving the outage and getting back online. You want to automate status page updates as much as possible. By automating all of these processes, you're taking important steps in reducing downtime and also eliminating the risk of human error, which in high pressure situations is also something not to overlook. Another critical step in implementing modern incident management will be a multi-channel communication strategy. Studies have shown that approximately 87% of business stakeholders want to have updates on incidents, right? Another 56% are actually more frustrated by the lack of communication in an incident than the incident itself, from surveys. To solve these issues, you should consider an incident management system that incorporates, a robust communication plan. This will include picking your communication solutions, what channels are effective for you, and what are the templates you want to use to communicate ahead of time. In the middle of of an outage, you don't want to be spending time formatting and drafting messages. You should have templated messages that are easy to, apply, to make communication, effective and efficient. A few channels you want to consider having a dedicated status page. This could be, whether you build one yourself or use a more robust solution like Atlassian solution, which is status page. This takes some support burden off teams, rather than telling people over and over, yes, we are aware of this incident, we are looking at it, we are working on it. Just having a status page that shows the status and regular updates on the issue can remove that support burden. And your team can actually spend time fixing problems. You also want to be able to embed statuses in where your visitors are likely to be encountering the problem. So, being able to incorporate, oh, this is the status of this issue, and embed it in like a web page or in a service portal page helps visitors keep track and let them know, what is underway. Well, email, it's still an option. You can give your audience an option to subscribe to, email updates. You can incorporate this with something like status page, for example. You could subscribe to email updates from status page so that, updates are pushed to the customer. This can be a reliable channel for incident communication as well. Of course, there's chat tools like Jira Service Management Chat, which helps to sync conversations from, chat platforms like Slack or Teams into, open service tickets like, JSM tickets, so aid collaboration and communication. Of course, social media, SMS alerts, other communication channels that may be convenient as well. Let's go into the fifth step, which is establishing a system monitoring protocol. It is important to monitor system performance and set up a process to easily view system health all in one place. The easier it is to track success metrics and review them, the more likely your team is able to keep up with them and actually avoid an outage. This ties a little bit into identifying critical systems and consolidating alerts, which was our first step. But essentially, it is key to get clear upfront on which metrics matter the most to your teams and why. And then the last component of implementing incident management, which is the PIRs or post-mortem analysis, is you want to have a process for reviewing incidents or outages when they have occurred. You should be documenting the impact on end user applications and experiences in every incident or outage. Of course, to do this, you need to ensure your incident management process can provide data, which is useful for postmortem. This kind of information helps your support teams improve alert processes and procedures, which, at the end of the day, helps to achieve that goal of enhanced customer experience. An incident is not really over just because, now the app is back online, the database is back online. But to prevent incidents, to reduce the time spent on future incidents, and to better understand how your processes, your teams, your policies are impacting your incident management, you need to conduct these PIRs or have post-mortem analysis. What exactly is a post-mortem analysis? This is most often a written record. It could be a Confluence page of an incident that describes the impact of the incident, the actions taken to mitigate or resolve the incident, the actual root cause of the incident, or the necessary actions that have been taken to prevent the incident from occurring again in the future. In order for such a postmortem analysis to be effective at reducing repeat incidents, the review process has to, one way or the other, incentivize teams to identify causes and fix them. Some ways that you can, create this incentive will be, to have face-to-face meetings, which help align all the teams involved post-incident. To have post-mortem approvals by your delivery or operations team managers. In other words, after the post-mortem document is ready, have an approval process where key managers review this and approve that, okay, post-mortem is done. Also, you want to have designated priority actions, and put a timing on it, maybe 4 weeks action plan, 8 weeks action plan, depending on the service, with reminders and reports to help push them along. So these are, just 6 of the, key components that you would need to implement for a robust incident management. And next, we'll look at the Opsgenie advantage. For anyone who doesn't know, Opsgenie is a cloud-based incident response orchestration platform that aids in quick and efficient identification of system issues through alert monitoring, notifying appropriate individuals, facilitating cross-department communication, and promoting collaboration for fast issue resolution. A tool like this is invaluable to be able to have all the 6 ingredients that we talked about and to be able to meet the challenging requirements of keeping always on instances up and running, that we talked about in the background. Opsgenie is backed with a reliable and highly available architecture. It operates in multiple data centers. It's monitored 24/7. The platform records and reports life cycle of each alert, each notification, each user action in the process of investigating or resolving issues. So it's able to enable analysis of IT incidents and outages after the fact as well. It also offers a lot of innovative features that effectively reduce operational downtime. Let's look at some of those features. As you can see on the screen, one of the key features that Opsgenie provides is that it simplifies the integration of your, the suite of enterprise applications and operation tools that you may have effortlessly. Opsgenie supports 200+ integrations natively. It offers pre-built integrations with a lot of operation services and tools. And actually helps to serve as a central hub where all this monitoring and alert systems can feed in, and then you have everything in one place. For example, Opsgenie can be used to capture alerts from your monitoring tools and forward them to whatever platform your team collaborates on, like Slack. It can also be used to automatically create incidents in JSM or other requests in your ticketing platform to aid investigation and resolution. And these integration capabilities can lead to significant improvements in overall quality of service, overall efficiency and productivity for organizations in this kind of systems. Another key feature, next slide, please, is the on-call and scheduling capabilities we talked about. This is one of the ingredients we talked about in the 6 steps we looked at. With Opsgenie, creating on-call schedules is a breeze, really. There's tons of flexibility. You can set up daily, weekly, customized rotations effortlessly. You can enable various roles and coverage models. You can easily define scenarios like after work hours, weekdays, weekends. You follow the sun, kind of geographical coverage. Almost anything is configurable. In setting up, your rotations or calendar on who is on call, who is available to be notified when something goes on. Another key feature, next slide, please. Yeah. Is response orchestration and collaboration. So Opsgenie streamlines, the response of the organization by notifying appropriate individuals according to whatever alert policies and notification templates you have configured in it. It can automatically initiate video conference bridges, bringing in all the people responsible for a particular service when necessary for incident resolution, for example. It can route notifications to chats, to specific chat channels, and other team collaboration tools, which, as we've mentioned previously, all of this help overall productivity and efficiency. Another key feature is stakeholder communication. Opsgenie notifies your stakeholders based on organizational preferences. It can automatically create an incident status web page to keep stakeholders informed about the progress of incident resolution and the overall health of the service. Another feature that is essential is incoming stakeholder phone call routing. If you receive support calls, for example, if you receive support calls from users during an outage, incoming phone calls can also be automatically routed to the right person based on the call schedules that we talked about earlier. If no one is available, Opsgenie is also able to take a message, is able to generate an alert, is able to notify, make sure that the correct responders are notified. You also have escalation policies. That if this person on call doesn't respond to an alert or acknowledge an alert within this amount of minutes, escalate to this next layer. You could set up things like that. So that just is part of the robustness in how Opsgenie helps you get alerts to the right people as quickly as possible to potentially avoid outages or to shorten the recovery time. Let's look at incident reporting as well. Opsgenie offers you data visualization features for a quick overview of how the organization is performing. There are basically two categories of reports. You have global reports, which provide account-wide analysis of notifications, API usage, overall alert responsiveness of the team, statistics such as mean time to acknowledge or resolve. And then you have team reports, which focuses on the activities, the performance, and alerts received by the respective operation teams. And of course, one of the key ingredients we talked about was post-mortem analysis. And Opsgenie also has this built-in. It equips you with tools to learn from past incidents. It evaluates the effectiveness of your incident response practices. And you can use this to enhance your team's future performance.
Hey, Taiwo, really quickly, we do have a question that came through. The question is,
Sure.
Is the stakeholder communication based on incident priority?
So this is highly configurable. I think so. You want to balance how much notifications. You want to have the right balance when it comes to notifications. You want to give notifications to those who care about it, right? Part of the capabilities you have built into Opsgenie is that individual profiles are able to set how much notification they want to receive and in what format they want to receive it. You could also set configure. You could. So for example, well, we're talking about communication specifically, but even beyond communication, also regarding alerts, you could configure rules based on priority, based on the time frame that an issue is occurring. You could, all of these are highly configurable. But yes, priority is one of the things you want to consider when looking at what is essential to communicate. But at the same time, also stakeholders are able to have some control on how much noise or how much they want to be informed. I'm not sure if the question particularly has if there's a follow-up on that. If you, but I'll be happy to take any follow-up if that doesn't address the question.
There is actually a follow-up, Taiwo. What is the heartbeat monitoring feature in Opsgenie? This person read that it is a feature built in.
Well, so typically heartbeats are calls you make to, for example, API endpoints of your services, at regular interval to make sure that the services are on. So for example, if you have an endpoint that you pull at intervals to see, okay, that you get a response status that the application is up and running or the service is up and running. Then you pull this maybe, I don't know, every 30 seconds, for example. There are different ways in which you could integrate this with Opsgenie. You could, for example, set rules that if you receive a response, maybe internal server error, an unexpected response, basically, a response code that is not showing that the system is online, this triggers an alert. So because it's called a heartbeat because you're pulling it on, on the frequency, just to monitor that the system is online. So one way you could use that to trigger alerts and use that to do, notify whichever team is responsible for that service based on the rules you've set. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, there's no additional. Oh, yes, it did answer. Thank you.
You're right. I think we have a few minutes to wrap up with some incident management use cases. So the first use case here is digital transformation and infrastructure modernization. Infrastructure modernization ensures that you have the right amount of support for mission critical applications and operations. We've talked about the challenges posed by, the growth in mobile devices and just the growth of data points, of data and transactions in systems, to keep them running. In this context, incident management plays a vital role as that operational bridge between old and new systems. So most new systems are, already are built to support this level of inundation, with devices and staying up for having a high uptime. Opsgenie also helps you provide a layer of monitoring and being able of quick response for the older systems. Operations teams handle legacy application alerts and are able to support new technology initiatives simultaneously with a tool like Opsgenie. You have everything in one place. If you're looking for most digital transformation use cases where people are having a mix of enterprise tools that didn't do this, are not very good at staying up for very long or don't have a lot of redundancy. A tool like this is a layer that provides that level of a high quality of service across both your old systems and the new ones. And so it does help in digital transformation. Is a component in that sense. Of course, we've talked about customer experience, which is the primary goal of every business, right? One key area when you're trying to improve the reputation of your business, customer experience on your services is to implement, a robust tool like this that takes monitoring to the next level, helps you catch outages before they occur, help you see patterns that have caused outages in the past, and to look at to keep continuously review and improve your response processes. So customer experience improvement is one of the areas where incident management makes a big difference. The last two are particularly interesting. I'll talk about those quickly. So we have cybersecurity, right? As security threats are becoming more advanced, companies are adopting or updating their SIEM systems, that's security information and event management systems. Incident management is a valuable addition to these solutions because it effectively automates the incident response that these SIEM systems generate and helps you enhance overall security. Most of the security systems generate a lot of data. They generate a lot of alerts, a lot of it are, redundant, a lot of it are duplicate, but yet, there are essential things to keep a close eye on, the security of your systems. But the incident management layer that helps to manage, orchestrate these events and give you a central view, a more managed view, and is an important ingredient to add to your cybersecurity strategy. So this is a very important use case of incident management as well, enhancing security. And then lastly, we have Internet of Things. Obviously, we're not talking about your your smart home devices and all that, but think about it in in business and scientific applications. Things like logistics and fleet management, smart grids, smart meters. Even environmental monitoring, you have a proliferation of devices, sensors, and there's in this kind of environments, you want to have high availability. You want to have things need to be online all the time. The quality of service have to be really high, right? For successful IoT initiatives, seamless communication between the applications, between the devices, the data and the analytics is very vital round the clock. Downtime is usually unacceptable. And so incident management processes like the ones we've discussed, enhance that operational efficiency in IoT projects. It helps to minimize downtime and to maximize system availability. Those are just a few, aspects of where incident management actually makes a difference in different industries that we thought, we could highlight as well. I think that brings us to our last section on this topic of modern incident management. I'll pass back to you, Danielle.
Thank you so much, Taiwo. If anyone has any other questions, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A box or the chat box. Also, we wanted to just share a little bit more about our ServiceRocket, about ServiceRocket's ITSM solutions. And if you wanted to learn more, you can scan the QR code to visit our homepage. And then from there, you can also read more about and watch all of our latest webinars in both ITSM and cloud on demand. And then if you have any other further questions that pop up, in the coming days and weeks, feel free to always reach out to us at sales@servicerocket.com. We are here to help you and support you the best that we can. I guess we can give it another minute just in case anyone does have any questions that come up. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great day, and thank you again for joining us in our webinar today. Taiwo, is there anything else that you wanted to add before we sign off?
No, thank you everyone for joining us today.
Awesome. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and close out there and hope you all have a great rest of your day, and thanks again for attending.